Have you ever stopped to think about how your computer, your phone, and even your TV all, well, talk to each other? It's kind of like magic, right? Something we totally take for granted every single day. Well, today, we're going to pull back that curtain and demystify the whole world of computer networks.
So let's kick things off with a question for you. Just look around right now. You've probably got your phone, your laptop, maybe there's a printer in the corner. What do they all have in common? I mean, sure, they're separate gadgets, but they all share this powerful, kind of invisible connection.
The answer? They're all part of a circle. And that's actually a great way to think about it. You know, people have a social circle to chat and share things. Well, your digital devices, they have their very own circle for doing pretty much the exact same thing.
Okay, so it's time to put a proper name to this digital circle. Let's dive into our first section and define exactly what a network is. And don't worry, we're going to keep it super clear and simple.
And here it is, the official term, a computer network. At its heart, it's actually incredibly simple. A network is just the structure that gets created when at least two devices communicate with each other. That communication, that's the key. It's what turns a bunch of isolated gadgets into a really powerful team. And it's not just random chatter, you know? It all follows a set of rules, we call them protocols, to make sure the message gets from point A to point B correctly.
So, the most important thing to remember here, it's the number 2. That's the magic number. You don't need some huge complicated web of wires and flashing lights. A network can be as simple as your laptop just sending a file over to your printer. The moment two devices are connected and communicating, bam, you've got yourself a network.
All right, so we've nailed down that a network can be just two devices. That's the what. So naturally, the next question is the why. Why even bother connecting things in the first place? What's the whole point?
Yeah, exactly. What are these digital circles actually for? I mean, what's the big deal about your computer talking to your printer or your phone connecting to the internet? Well, it really all boils down to two things: sharing and communication.
And you'll see these purposes are woven into pretty much everything we do online. Let's think about it in a couple of ways. First up, sharing resources. You know, when you send a document to a colleague or you print something wirelessly to a printer that's not even in the same room, that's you using your local network to share stuff. But then there's the big one, real-time communication. All those video calls and online chats, that's you connecting through a much, much wider network, the internet, transferring images and sound across the globe in a blink. It's all about sharing, just super efficiently.
But this massive, interconnected world we live in, it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. To really get where we are today, we've got to look back at where it all started. So let's take a quick trip back in time to meet the internet's granddaddy, a project called ARPANET.
And this timeline, wow, it really shows you just how small the beginnings were. Back in 1969, the super ambitious ARPANET project connected the networks of just 3 universities in the entire US. That's it. Pretty wild, right? But as you can see, by 1982, that tiny little structure had already grown a ton, laying the groundwork for the global network we all use today. And this quote really says it all. The fundamental building blocks of today's internet, you know, the rules for how data is packaged up, sent, and received, the tech we call TCP/IP, those weren't invented last year. They were literally born from the experiments and technologies developed for ARPANET. It really, truly is the direct ancestor of the web we're on every single second.
All right, that was a whirlwind tour through the what, the why, and the where it all began of computer networks. Before we wrap this up, let's boil it all down to the key takeaways you should definitely remember.
So here's the big picture, in 3 simple steps. First, a network at its core is just 2 or more devices talking to each other. Simple as that. Second, we use them to share pretty much everything, from files and info to hardware like printers. And third, this whole massive global system we rely on, it all grew out of a tiny experimental network called ARPANET. And that really brings us to our final thought. I mean, think about it. The network has gone from connecting just 3 universities to a global web that connects billions of us and our devices. It just makes you wonder, what will our next great connection look like? Thanks for tuning in.